I, Mr. Governor,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
please remain standing. We can bow our head, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we appreciate the opportunity to get together and assemble in this great nation. We ask for your guidance, that we may make decisions based on our constituents' needs and in your honor. We ask that you offer us wisdom going forward to continue to make good choices for everyone involved. We also ask for your continued protection and guidance for our men and women in the military, both at home and overseas. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In everyone's packet, you received a letter that I had previously received from Commissioner Wright to fulfill Jamie Curtis's vacancy and offering Ted Henry the position on the incorporating board. I would ask Jess to please swear him in at this point.
Please repeat after me.
I, Ted Henry,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of incorporating board member
the duties of incorporated board member
of the Carolina Water Authority
of the Carolina Water
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United
and of the
States
state of Michigan,
and of the state of Michigan.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, Ted, again. And I'd also like to show our appreciation for Jamie Curtis and his 10 serve as well this time. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Karen Weaver,
Present.
Eric Mays,
Present.
Joseph Suma,
Present.
Laura Sullivan,
Present.
Ted Henry, Mary Green, Richard Hamill,
Here.
Mickey Hoffman. Dale Ferguson has been excused. Sheldon Neely. Martin Cousineau.
Here.
Tom Severcek has been excused. Marcia Benelli has been excused. Paul Zelenko has been excused. Greg Alexander.
Here. I'd like to refer to Corporation Council. Is there a quorum present, sir? There is, sir. Let the record reflect that there is a quorum present. Been accounted for. So the next item of business on the agenda is the minutes of May 17, 2017.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor.
I would move that the minutes of May 17, 2017, accepted with any correction. Support.
Was that you, Richard?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Eric Mays, support by Richard Hamill, to accept the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Treasurer's report. Carl. Is here.
Good afternoon. You should have in your packet the financial reports for April through June. And these are standard as we have each time we're meeting. Certainly would entertain any questions. One thing I would point out, in the last meeting, the board approved the transfer of $4 million from the operations fund to the construction fund. When you get to the either the May or the June reports. They do not reflect that transfer because we've not made it yet. We were really waiting until we needed to do it. So just in case anyone is wondering why there is still such a substantial balance in cash or checking in the operations fund, that would be the reason. And we anticipate probably doing that within the next 30 to 45 days as bills come in that need to be paid.
Once it's needed, it's already pre-approved. Are there any further questions for Carl?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Eric?
Yeah, if I looked at the packet, I seen a public hearing set that we might set for August 30th, and then after that, we would adopt the budget after that. That's a fair statement.
Yes, it is.
And then also, I had questions. I don't know who can answer them, but I'll use this time to ask them. What is a refunding bond as it relates to what I'm reading?
Sure. I think that's an agenda. Okay. So the refunding is going to be basically putting a new bond in place of the short-term bond that we did with JP Morgan a year and a half ago. And that bond is the $74 million borrowing that we did, as we kind of consider the KWA Phase 2 bond. And that will need to be replaced by May 1st of 2018. So we are putting plans in place at this time to get that refunding going. We would actually like to refund that this year. We're able to do it, I believe, after November 1st.
John?
Just for clarification, it's not a refunding, it's a refinancing. So we took a two-year borrowing, and the goal, at the time we had to take a two-year funding because of the Flint water crisis. The bond buyers out there were concerned, and so all we could do is a short-term two-year note. The goal is to refinance that two-year note to a 28-year normal bond period. Because right now, the board has a balloon payment of $74 million due in May of 2018. So the purpose is to refinance that balloon payment.
Carl made a comment about potentially doing that early in November.
We have, with JP Morgan, we have the right to refinance it as early as November 1st without penalty.
So it's subject to referendum, so you'll save 5 months.
It's not subject to referendum.
Okay, all right.
So all we have to do is since this financing is backed both by the city and the county, both communities will be required to reaffirm their commitment to the backing of the bond, and then this board would approve it, and then we move forward with the processing for the refi. I did put in the communications, and this is really not communications, not under budget. There is a communication that the first supplement to the Carrick County Water Authority financing contract, that's what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
So it'll come back to this board after both the city and the county do their approval. It has been sent out as draft to both communities for their review and comment.
Very good, thank you very much for your input. Eric?
So may I get a clarification? So the 2016, June of 2016, the financing contract, KWA issued 2016 bonds to complete construction of KWA in the amount of what, 70-some million? 74 million. And so are you saying, Mr. O'Brien, that those 2016 bonds is separate from the term refunding bonds? You refer to them as refinancing. Are we talking two different things when we're saying our boys, they call refunding as well?
The actual legal technical term, refunding of the bonds. A lot of people call it refinancing because it's easier to understand when you relate it.
So I just wanted to make sure I was getting the right clarification. So we are talking the same thing in the legal definitions of the documents. The refunding is the refinance. I'll probably have more discussion and communications if I may, Chairman, but Mr. Chairman, but finally what I want to know is the total amount of the contract not to exceed 300 million. Does this affect that total cost in any way? And can you shed light on that for me? That's when I seen the different movements, I was trying to see what was the cap as it relates to where does any of this put us at on that 300 million max.
The 300 million cap is set forth in the financing contract. The 74 million has already been issued. You're under the 300 cap, and therefore this is simply a refunding. All you're really doing is extending the term of the bond from 2 years to 28 years, plus whatever the new interest rate may or may not be, is the only difference. So when you think of it, you're not issuing new money,
Right.
you're refinancing the money that's already on the books.
And I understand that. So how close would we be to that $300 million cap? And have there been any additions other than, I understand the refinancing wouldn't affect it, so I want to know how close are we to that cap as when we started out with the construction. I wasn't here, but that's, I think Mr. O'Brien or somebody might know the answer.
The first borrowing was $220 million, that's what got the project going. This is 74 million. That's the total cost of the construction of this project.
Say that again.
220 and 74 million.
Okay, so the 220 and the 74 put us at about 294.
Yes.
So we still 6 million under that, not to exceed.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Dr. Sullivan?
I heard about 74 million that was due for a balloon payment and 74 million that was the 2016 bond. So is that the same thing?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Are there any further questions for Carl on the treasurer's report?
Finally, even though we talked about the 74 million, there's a figure in there of 79. Where's the other 5 million?
As you remember, at the last board meeting, we approved an authorization to transfer approximately $4 million from the operating fund to the construction fund. So going up to the 79 million will allow us to borrow the additional money to pay back the operations.
So would it be fair to say that the 74 million refinancing, how do I look at that? Do I look at the 5 million not added to the 294, or do I add 5 million to the 294?
Yeah, it's actually based on what's called the par value of the bond. So the par value of the first bond was 220.5 million. And I was looking to the exact figure here, because I know you're right, it is 79 million is the estimated par value. So we're going to be very close to the 300 million. I think it's probably going to be about 299.
And that's why I asked that question, because once you exceed the 300 million contractually, we need to talk. And
Yeah,
so you say we're going to be very close.
Yeah, we won't exceed it.
And I didn't count it and look at it as good as you, but I knew if I found out the answers to these questions, it would help me understand better. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion to, do I have a motion on the table? So moved. Support. Who is the so moved? I have a motion by Larry Green to accept the treasurer's report and support by Ted Henry. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. This financial report and the things that I get, I enjoy getting it, I enjoy looking at it, but, for the sake of time in this meeting, I won't go farther, but I really appreciate when I do get it, that we get these reports. It's something that a
Very good. Any further discussion? We have a motion on the table by Green, supported by Henry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. And the communications. Our first supplement to the Carrick County Water Authority financing contract, which was alluded to in our previous discussion. John, do you want to take that one? You kind of already did it, so.
Yeah.
Everybody understand that? Are there any further questions about that? Second communication, of course, was the letter, which I mentioned previously about appointing Ted Henry. Thank you very much. Now we're entering into number 4 on the agenda, which is the public comment. Public comment, we ask for comment only. Questions may be stated. A maximum of 3 minutes. And if you do have a question to state, first and foremost, please state your name, address, where you're from. If you have your comment, personal attacks will be permitted. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Ron Siskey, Billings Township Supervisor over in Lapeer County. Now, I remember the day that Mr. Wright and all these other folks came out to our township and said, we're going to do this. We were excited, very excited. We've had some bumps in the road, we still got some bumps out there to fix. But I know under public time, I've been doing this for 46 years, I know you can't make a comment back to me, you can't. But we'd appreciate something in writing on the 2 issues that we got before you today, is our local roads and our fire hydrants. We've been told a lot of things about these things and haven't got them done yet. We got 6 miles of road, local roads that have been tore up by the construction work out there. I don't know if there's a plan in place to help us out with the cost of those. And the other thing, we got 14 fire hydrants. We can't use them. Too much pressure. So we met several times with some people on this board and said, yeah, we're going to do something about that, but nothing gets done. I don't know how you're going to respond to this type of thing that I'm bringing up here today, but I'd be more than happy to meet more of the other supervisors in Lapeer County to discuss these issues of where the water line went down. So that's my comment. Unless you got some questions for me, I appreciate being able to talk to you and bring up our concerns. Another gentleman over here is bringing up millions of dollars. We're not talking about that. So we're talking about getting things back to the way they were. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Justin Angel, Lapeer County Road Commission, County Highway Engineer. We have a large sum of money that we have not been reimbursed yet for inspection fees that were when we have inspectors out on the projects. Hopefully there'll be some relief coming to the road commission soon for those fees that are owed to us. We're not really a banking service. Second question, I know you can't answer this at this time, but I was wondering if there's any audio files available for these KWA board meetings that are available to listen to. I talked about a Clam Road issue during the last board meeting. The issue has not been resolved yet. The Lapeer County Road Commission was asked by KWA to come up with a design. We have completed that process. We're in the process of getting drainage easements signed by the property owners out there so we can resolve that issue. Kind of unclear how that is part of a Lapeer County Road Commission issue to resolve when the issue was not out there prior to the water main construction, but we're making progress in getting that resolved with the landowners. I noticed in the meeting minutes from the last board meeting, there's a comment in there that we're in a lawsuit on Norway Lake Road. Hopefully somebody can inform us at the Lapeer County Road Commission what that lawsuit consists of. We're unaware of that lawsuit. As Mr. Siskey stated, the local township roads were utilized by heavy construction traffic. They need repairs. We photographed them before construction, during construction, and after construction. There was a comment made by a board member at the last meeting that, maybe the simple solution would be, give some relief to it. Hopefully the board has gave that a little more thought to help the local townships out where the roads were damaged. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Justin. Any further public comment? Any further public comment? Any further public comment? Okay. Going on to new business. First thing to introduce is Resolution 2017-06, resolution establishing a public hearing on the KWA fiscal year 2018 budget. It is in your packet. Board members, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Eric?
yeah, I would move resolution, it's titled 2017-06, a resolution establishing a public hearing on the KWA fiscal year 2018 budget for approval.
Support. I have a motion by Eric, support by Richard. Any further comment? And this does establish it for the 30th, correct? For the next fiscal year.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
That resolution schedules the public hearing for August the 30th, and it would be out where? I think it's out at the
Beecher Road.
Beecher Road.
Beecher Road.
location, right, and then shortly after that, we would deal with action as it relates to maybe adopting that. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Sullivan?
Will, as part of that discussion, will this supplemental refinancing be part of that discussion for the public? You be aware of that and be able to comment on that?
Yes, it would be included in that.
It will be, okay, very good, thanks.
Yes?
Now, again, it will only be
Oh, this is
brought up.
looking.
This is not for next
This
year.
is, that is a construction bond, not an operations budget. So what you're looking at is the general operations budget. Only, that resolution will only come forward to the board after Genesee County and after the city of Flint approve it.
They would have to approve it.
So if they approve before August, yes, that resolution can be put on the budget, on the agenda.
So for clarification on that question, that you're talking the additional pre-approved 4 million? Is that what you're talking about? Well, that would be in our meeting, which would be immediately before, after the public hearing as well, correct? No?
This is your construction
sorry.
budget versus operation.
Operation, I got you, okay.
This is solely an operation.
Further discussion? I have a motion for adoption of the resolution establishing the date of the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2017-07, establishing the General Appropriations Act for the Carrick County Water Authority. Okay. I have a motion by Ted Henry, supported by Mayor Weaver, for Resolution 2017, resolution establishing a General Appropriations Act for the Carrick County Water Authority. Any further discussion? Mr. Green?
I move that we table this, but here today.
I didn't hear the last time.
He was to table it because of the hearing date is actually scheduled for
the,
You know what I mean?
We can't take an action until we have.
You're right, we gotta have a public hearing first.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
that's it.
That's a yes.
Okay, so I need a second.
Mr. Chairman, I would support that.
Okay, so I have a motion to table this resolution until after we have our public hearing, which is appropriate. Motion by Green, support by Mays. Any further discussion? Mr. Henry?
The term table, I have a question.
Okay,
Is it postponed or table?
it's laying it on the table until it comes off
So
the
it
table.
could happen on that day.
Yeah, so right now you're doing a motion to place it on the table. At the next meeting, we'll do a motion to bring it off the table, present it back to you.
Oh.
Thank you.
okay.
Just wanted that point clear.
Yes. Point of order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this says a resolution establishing a general appropriation back for the KWA. And so that is in our packet as well.
Yeah.
And so I'll do my homework and by the time we pull it off the table, so I'll save those questions until that time.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify.
Mr. Chair, point of clarity, we're
Yes.
voting on the amendment?
We're voting on the table, to table it.
The amendment.
Yeah. Yeah. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion is to table it. Passed. Okay. The next resolution is the resolution authorizing the KWA CEO to execute the agreements in the packets, which is 201708. Okay. And you read the memorandum? Yes. Do you understand the memorandum? What's your pleasure, Board?
But, Mr. Chairman, what memorandum are you inquiring?
The first page.
First page of the amendment.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for a motion on the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Who said that? I'm sorry.
I made a motion to Henry support.
Martin made the motion and supported by Henry. Any further discussion on the motion? Doctor?
There are agreements and plans that are associated with this that are still in flux. So are we bypassing our opportunity to review those before granting authority to approve the overall plan by giving that authority away before we can see all of the agreements that are part of that?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, CEO, right.
I think it's appropriate to go back and give a background of why we're to this point today. And I did this at the last KWA board meeting. But on March 6th, we were asked to come to the governor's cabinet chambers where the city of Flint was represented by the mayor and others, myself, some of my staff, EPA, DEQ, Treasury, Great Lakes Water Authority, and others. And at that meeting, it was presented by John Young to the group that basically Flint wanted to take advantage of, I believe it was option 8, to stay with the Great Lakes Water Authority. And at that meeting, I talked to the mayor and to the director of the Great Lakes Water Authority and asked if that's what they wanted, and they both said yes. So we said that we would work with the groups to accommodate them as long as there was no negative effects to KWA or negative effects to GCDC. There are multiple contracts. The one you're looking at today is what is referred to as the master or grand or three-party. It really has more to do with the city of Flint, the state of Michigan, and Great Lakes. It does not really affect KWA. The other negotiations that took place are between Great Lakes Water Authority and Genesee County for backup water supply. So what this resolution does, and the way it's worded, it doesn't allow me as CEO to go beyond what's already in this document without coming back to this board. But it authorizes me, in fact, let me see if I can find the exact statement for you. It authorizes me to sign if this body approves it, as long as it says, Chief Executive Officer and General Counsel appointed to represent KWA may modify the agreement as long as the intent of the first agreement adopted is not modified to diminish the authority of the KWA board or its ability to accomplish the main purpose of this agreement. So there might be some legal tweaking of some words, but the general agreements cannot be changed without coming back to this body. And it also has to go to the City of Flint Council. It has to go to the Great Lakes Water Authority, which it has. They've approved with that same language. If there's any major changes, it has to go back to the Great Lakes Water Authority.
So you referred to an original agreement.
It's in here.
The original agreement is,
What you're voting on, am I correct, John? It's the...
Now, you referenced the memo of understanding of what
I referenced the memo of understanding, but we're looking at the three-party agreement, which is in your packet,
right?
and the master agreement, also in the packet.
So when you,
The three-party agreements, the main reason KWA set in on them was to make sure that there was no negative impact of what Great Lakes and Flint were intending to do.
you referenced, you looked up and you referenced some statement about that you would have the authority as long as there was no change, or as long as it doesn't vary too much, right?
That's right.
What were you reading? Where is that?
It's in your packet, and it's...
It's it's in the resolution, this would be after the two agreements. It's in the resolution that's the last, therefore, be it resolved. So just before the signature is inserted.
It's
Yeah.
the one dated July, there's also one related July 24th, remarks grand bargain. The resolution also goes and authorizes the CEO and general counsel to modify and execute agreements as long as the intent of the adopted agreements are not diminished. Basically the same language that Great Lakes use and Flint will potentially use.
So the intent of the adopted agreements, there's more than one, or is it just the
There's
third
just the
party?
agreements you have here, the other ones have nothing to, the other agreements and contracts have nothing to do with KWA.
Right.
The only ones that are in this packet are the ones that may or may not affect KWA.
So is it safe to say, as long as the intent of the adopted agreement, the three-party agreement, there's no other agreements that should not be diminished?
That's correct.
I'm
Not as
looking at this
far as
wording.
KWA goes.
Right. So the wording ought then to be, as long as the intent of the adopted agreement is not
It's
diminished?
not diminished. That's That's what it says.
Could we say as long as the intent of the three-party agreement, so that we're clear about what agreement we're talking
I'll
about?
leave that to Lee.
The KWA is still a party to the master agreement, which gives us third-party rights to some of those other agreements. I prefer to keep the language as written.
Okay. I have concerns that Exhibit A refers to Flint's obligations for its share of the debt service, but I don't see what those are. I don't know what those are. I'm obviously at a conflict here because I'm here representing Flint, but we're talking about something in the best interest of the KWA as a whole. So I'm just trying to preserve my responsibilities.
And if I may answer that question for you, Exhibit A cannot be completed at this time because the refinancing or refunding has not been completed until we get final numbers. We know that right now it's a balloon payment at the end, but once it is refinanced over the 28 years, those numbers and amortization charts will then be attached to the Exhibit A. But until the bonds are sold, we really can't attach and fill out completely Exhibit A.
And Exhibits C, D, E, F, and G for the master agreement.
They are not the, KWA is not a party to those agreements.
Those are negotiated by Great Lakes, the state, and the city.
Right. So what there is there is a portal that when entities approve agreements, they go up to the portal. And then eventually, once everybody agrees and all the executed agreements are put together, there'll be final agreements. But again, some of these contracts may still be in negotiation stages. They're just part of everybody understands they're part of the master deal. But the two that affects KWA are the master deal agreement because we have third-party beneficiary rights with some of the other agreements. And then the three-party agreement, which we are a party to.
Mr. Chairman, question, roll call, please.
Yes, we can roll call. Any further discussion? Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is, because of the history and everything that's gone through here, we've all been part of that. This is a pretty significant piece of what's happened here, so I wouldn't feel comfortable without at least hearing something from the Flint representatives about how they feel about this agreement and as we go forward. I mean, obviously, you have the county and the KWA that seem to be really, were affected in a way, but not necessarily anywhere near as dramatically as the city of Flint. I think it'd be important for all of us to kind of hear, Mayor, sorry to go directly to you or Eric, how you guys feel about this before we go forward, if that's possible at all.
Well, I would have to say I'm supporting this because we worked on this a long time and we talked about how some of these agreements are made with separate entities and that's why everything wasn't in here. But as we looked through everything, we felt like we were doing not only what was in the best interest of the city of Flint, we also felt that we were doing what was in the best interest of KWA because we wanted to make sure there were no negative impacts. So we were satisfied with what we were putting forward. And, it was interesting because some people said, well, this happened or that happened. But we were playing the hand that we were dealt. And so we felt like everything that was before us, this was a good package that we came up with. And so we were satisfied.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to Mr. Hamill and to the other commissioners, I'm kind of in a certain position as a KWA board member as well as a city council. And with the recommendations that have been made with all of the parties, even Mr. Wright had spoke about being in the room. Now, I feel I've been in the room, unlike some of my city council colleagues, and I watched and looked at this every step of the way. To me, it seems like from the 1964 history of us buying water from Detroit and selling it to the Out County, I feel that this is a major reorganization of the way water will be distributed in Genesee County. I also look at Flint as an entity that has had somewhat of control and say say-so in the distribution of water, and with the recommendation, even the aspect of, if you understand the proposed agreements, Great Lakes will take over the rights of Flint as it relates to the KWA, and even possibly its Flint KWA representatives, possibly from all of the agreements that I read. So it's kind of a tough one for me to be a distributor with opportunity of revenue, whatever, however big or small, as we've been over the past many years, and now even as it relates to possible raw water revenue as a KWA board member relinquishing maybe such rights and authority to Great Lakes. I look at the KWA as a valuable asset now. It's been pretty much completed. I'm looking at all the agreements. That's why I asked the specifics about the $300 million that I'll be doing arithmetic, because when you get that close, when you agree to agreements, even if it's $1 over $300 million, it breaches the agreement. So this vote to give authority, and I can understand giving the authority in case something happens out of our presence as board members, then the executive director, the person in charge of day-to-day operations, legal counsel, and Mr. Wright could execute agreements in a timely manner. I understand that authority. But when you read the specifics of the authority that's being given here, they're assuming that they will come back as talked about, with Great Lakes getting Flint's rights. And a lot of those getting of rights is because of the bond debt. Great Lakes in all of these conversations has stepped up to the plate and said, hey, we've come up with a way creatively to minimize some cost to the city of Flint, and at the end of the day, if we help give you that financial break, then we want the rights. That's how it's been, put together. My position is still, even though one of the people at the table is the state of Michigan, and I can't speak for the mayor, but I can speak for myself, I wish that the state of Michigan had stepped up to the plate in a way similar to what Great Lakes has did, and said there's been some mistakes made. Emergency managers was in place when the bond debts, come into play. I think it was 2013 and 2014 before I became a council member and or a KWA board member, and they didn't, but Great Lakes did. I'm in a position on the council where I'm still going to holler into the 11:55 hour, because at 12 o'clock the day would change. So I'm going to holler to the 11:55 hour that the state should be stepping up with that debt obligation as it relates to the city, and the city would maintain its rights as it relates to the KWA and this valuable asset. My colleagues on the council seem to be a little slow catching on to that strategy. I think the mayor and her crew has did a good job to get us to where we're at now. I appreciate the moving part of the agreement that Mr. Wright has said publicly. Hey, they're going to be welcome to use the 72-inch pipe that was sold, in my opinion, prematurely, Mr. Council. I didn't vote to sell it when they said we'd never use it. It was not true. We are using it again. Other people was talking. So, in line with the way I operate, I don't know what the vote of this body will be, but I know it's a lot of people looking. And I know that certain people want this to go through. And my position is that I haven't had enough talking with the state. And I asked my colleagues on the council who have subpoena power, if you can't get people to come in and bond debt from the state, subpoena them. If you can't get people to come in and talk, and so the agreement that I would like to see, if we approve this, I would like to see an agreement come where they gotta change and modify, because the agreement that I'm looking at has Great Lakes taking the city of Flint's rights and a creative way to help take the stress off of us as a bond debt. I'm gonna be pushing to the very end for that part of the agreement to be modified and changed, where the state of Michigan steps up to the plate with that $1 billion surplus and with their $55 billion general fund, and do the right thing. You got people who was involved in this making decisions, even though it's a sidebar, Mr. Hammond. When we was bonding, from what I look at now with the upgrades to the water plant, I might have tried to bond in partnership with Genesee County to have more capacity in that plant that sits up there right by the lake. It's been some bad decisions made. And now Flint, thank God for Mayor Weaver and her team, then got us to a certain point. So we are almost there. I support the mayor. I'm biting my tongue, then did a way better job than the folks prior to her. But it's my job to try to help her be excellent in her team. And so if you read between the lines on what I'm saying, 9 members here, everybody watching. You know, I'm tempted to table this because in our bylaws, you know, we could have a special meeting in 2-3 days, 5 days, or a week. I don't know how time sensitive this is, but believe me, I know that the council is in court because they have refused to make a yes or no decision on these agreements and have refused to offer an alternative. And I'll give them some alternatives. And they keep postponing, refuse to meet, and now we're in court. Shame on the city council for having me on this board at this point, and they even sit on their hands, and I'll tell them all the time, you should have been and had conversations with Jeff Wright. You should have been and had conversations with Governor Snyder and the Great Lakes Authority and others. Quit whining like you can't get information. I ain't seen you push to get it, and ain't seen you come up with an alternative. So in light of all the agreements, my position is still fighting for an alternative to hold on to KWA rights and good assets. So will I give Mr. Wright, with my vote, the authority, him and the council, the lawyers, to move forward if need be and to modify and change as long as it's in the spirit? I would love to see that modify and change have something to do with a different form of relief as it relates to that bond debt and rights. Will I put a motion to postpone this for a week or 2 days? What I will do at this time is kind of be quiet and see what any other commissioners say or do, or even the executive director. So you requested to hear from me as one. You've heard from me as one, and if that helps you see where I'm coming from, that's the short version. But it's a lot of detailed questions, and the closest I've been to certain people who, now we got a bond attorney that then came in, but our council rules right now only let us talk for 5 minutes. so, I could gather more information from attorneys as it relates to the bond agreement, the language in the third-party agreement, the language in master agreements. I've detailed and looked at the agreements that you don't see. And they talk about even my board seeing the rights of the rights of Great Lakes. I've looked at it. And so, I talk a lot with Mr. Wright, somewhat, not a lot, but when I need him, I call him and I get information. That's why we knew some things that others didn't know. So I kind of trust people with authority to don't sign nothing too fast, but I'm also reluctant to give up authority because authority helps you bargain. And if Mayor Weaver did a heck of a job, and the governor and them think they can see stuff slide through and me give up an asset that I think could be beneficial to kids and grandkids and Flint water rates, then I wish he was in the room now, because I might not do that so fast, but I'm one vote of this body, and even though we're missing members, I would like to hear from the other commissioners as I get ready to make my vote, just as you want to hear from me.
Dr. Sullivan.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understand. The master agreement has been adopted by all parties, right?
Not by the city of Flint this time, and I'm not sure of the state of Michigan. I believe it has been in front of the GLWA board.
Yes.
Okay, so this agreement is the agreement that the city council is refusing to support, is that correct?
It's
Yeah, okay. The three-party agreement hasn't been adopted by anyone yet, is that correct?
It has been before the Great Lakes Water Authority Board, who has adopted it by a similar resolution that you have in front of you.
Okay.
As long as the intent remains, the administrative staff can make keyword changes, that kind of typos, I think.
If I may, it's also been adopted this morning by Genesee County Water and Waste Advisory Board, which is all of the townships, cities, and villages that we supply water. They adopted it this morning also.
What parties must adopt it for it to go forward?
The three-party agreement,
Yes.
Great Lakes Water Authority, Carrigandi Water Authority, City of Flint.
Okay.
And that's
So the fact that it
assuming,
was adopted by or were you talking about the master agreement, Jeff?
no, well,
The master agreement, but the name of the body is the advisory board. I don't move forward on anything
Okay,
without their vote.
gotcha. In the three-party agreement, there's something about Flint continuing to pay Genesee County Drain Commission, operating and maintenance fees. Is that anything different than what we're...
That's the current obligation
Okay.
under current contract.
Okay. And also in the three-party agreement, there's a statement that that Great Lakes Water Authority is not financially obligated to pay for the bonds that Flint has. That seems contrary to what I've heard.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Wright.
Those negotiations were not done by my office or KWA. Those negotiations were between Great Lakes, City of Flint, and State of Michigan.
The three-party agreement, who authored that? Does that come from us?
Partially.
Okay. And that's the reason that, because it comes from KWA, that's the reason that it doesn't include...
We've agreed, we were part of those discussions. It's a very, my word for it's complicated. There's multiple groups meeting on multiple different levels of multiple different issues. And as far as the point you just made, bonded, that was negotiated and agreed to between Flint and Great Lakes.
Why wouldn't that be part of the three-party agreement, though?
It is in a three-party agreement.
John.
As a clarification,
Yes.
Our understanding is the agreement between Flint and Toledo is a credit.
Right.
That they're providing a credit. By providing a credit, they avoid the legal obligation to pay. So it's kind of, Flint pays KWA its debt, Gleewood gives them a credit. And then Gleewood gives them credit off the water bill. So in essence, Gleewood is paying it, but it's not showing up as a payment on Gleewood's books.
But they're not, are they paying it to Gliwa or are they paying it to?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't want to talk too much about it because we weren't involved in the details of all of this part of it. You could ask.
Or was I? So that's why I'm confused.
But in a general sense,
Mayor Weaver's
We can show,
pitching here to
right, we
explain.
can give you those details, but I do want to say, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the comments and the questions from Manny's and so it comes from Manny's. And you're absolutely right, there have been some bad decisions that have been made, that at this stage of the game, we can't do anything about it. But at some point, we knew that we had to move forward. And so, as it was stated before, while we have given all of the information we know to council to get this moved forward, it is causing a hardship for the city of Flint financially, the longer we put this off. And while we don't want to base everything on finances, because public health was our priority first, and then finances were second, we still, like you talked about, doing this delicate balancing act, because we're always representing Flint, but we're representing KWA, and so we wanted to make sure we weren't doing anything detrimental to KWA while we made this deal. You know, it was really interesting to me because somebody even said to me, KWA still needs their money. Okay, you know, I mean, I'm looking out for what we need to do for Flint. This was separate from that, and I'm not trying to do harm to them either, and that's what we're supposed to do. So that, you know, that's where we are. That's where we are, and we talked about a lot of the things that you brought up as far as, well, can we have the state do this, or can we get these other things? And I wish those were the questions that had been looked at, you know, previously, because none of us were there. But when we looked at, you know, I've told people, we could have birthed a baby. We took about 9 months doing this and having these conversations. And so sometimes it is complicated and difficult because certain people had to be in the rooms because the deals were between them. But there is information that you can come and look at that is over in the statement for those questions. I don't have that information in front of me, but it's information that you can access to.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Mays.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the commissioners, I think you have to look at it like this, Ms. Sullivan, that if Flint didn't have the agreement, then water on an annual basis might cost the city for the amount we use about $14 million a year. And then our bond payment might come to about $7 million a year for a total expenditure annually of about $21 million. But with this agreement, Great Lakes is saying we'll sell to you for about $12 million a year. And so we'll give you a credit of about $7 million. And so you'll be buying it, if you want to look at it this way, for about $5 million annually. That's $7 million subtracted from that $12 million, you're buying it for $5 million. That $7 million would go in a trust. That trust would pay off the bond debt for 28 years. $7 million paying off 28 years, so you could look at it as we get water from Detroit for $5 million. But we are obligated to pay that bond debt. They can give us that so-called discount. But at the end of the 28 years, they would have the rights that we have on the KWA. So that's in general way to look at it. And when you read those agreements about that type of structure and trust fund and discounts, if you didn't keep up with that $7 million to pay that debt, then it's even structured where our receipts from water would go directly to that trust. They gonna make you keep up with it based upon the agreement. So, you know, some of this stuff ain't gonna never be seen unless we share copies with all of the commissioners, and it's no problem. But this one has to do with if those agreements stay the same, do we give Jeff Wright and the council authority to execute them if council pass and if stuff stay the same? The question that I have is, if they change structurally because of the wording in the third-party agreements and others, and that's based upon the language in the resolution and the memorandum, if we were successful to tweak it and get the state to do that, would it have to come back here again? You think it would?
I do, Mr. Mays, if the intent of the agreement changed.
The intent of
Lakes Water Authority did not stand in Flint's place at the end of the 28 years. That would be a material change to the contract, which would have to come back.
and the intent of the agreement would change, but then when you look at certain dates in these documents as it relates to, say, September 30th, 2017, if you ain't got some of this done by 2017, September, you know, that's why they taking counsel to court. That's why I'm criticizing my colleagues. Quit sitting on your hands and make a decision and even look at your alternatives, because under all things I read, legal time is running out. And it's bad when you sit on a council entity with your colleagues and you're reading documents and you get an understanding. The Lord didn't bless us all to be lawyers, and didn't bless us all to understand bonds. I know they didn't bless me to understand it all, but I sure would get in there and read. And I'm urging people in the city of Flint, Mr. Hamill, that right now we should be in a better position, as we said in our KWA positions, based upon city council trying to help tweak or make it right. So I'll go back across the street and continue to try to tweak and help make right. And if we do, stuff won't be executed. But if we don't, based upon what I see now, you know, I'm not wanting to give up an asset. I'm not wanting to not have any say-so in some of the infrastructure of the KWA and the option to treat water. Now, under them agreements, we could still buy raw water through the KWA with the Great Lakes Water Authority, but, you know, we wouldn't have the same rights as we do now. And so I'm in a time crunch. Remember I said, would I motion to postpone it? You ever heard me make that motion to postpone this? I mean, I wouldn't move to postpone it to August 30th. I'm not going to probably make a motion to postpone. I did say I wonder